It's not a crazy thing up there, up there, those towns.
No.
That's true.
What's your report?
Okay, 7 o'clock, I can call this meeting to order, let's all rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
John Leo. Here. Jamie Melky.
Here.
John Cox. Sir. Nancy Rondell.
Here.
Matt Bugira.
I'm here.
We do have a quorum.
Very good, very good. This is an opportunity for citizens' comment. If you have something that's not on our agenda tonight that you'd like to speak about. It's your big chance. Once, twice, thrice, thank you. No one has their hand up. So I guess we'll move right into the consent agenda. Any comments from anyone? Public or council?
Look reasonable to me. I would make a motion to approve.
John Leo.
Yes.
John Cox.
Yes.
Matt Bugira.
Yes.
Nancy Rondell.
Yes.
Jamie Melky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I think that's. And into the discussion items.
Right. Harbor Master Building renovations plan review. So Mark Bidet, our architect, is here. He will be able to answer any questions and even go through some of the design elements for the Harbor Master Building. But as you know, this Harbor Master Building renovation was the result of several years of trying to get laundry facilities in the Harbor Master Building. At this point, the city decided to just renovate the existing buildings, and basically the plan is shifting the public bathrooms to the west side of the building and converting the existing public bathrooms into laundry facilities and a mechanical room. At this current plan shows about each bathroom having 3 toilet fixtures, baby changing station. The laundry room would have 4 washing machines and 4 dryers each. The roof line of the building would actually change to be a little bit lower to accommodate many of the building code required internal changes. There'd be skylights for added more natural light. We would lose 2 parking spaces that are closest to the building because with the addition, as you've probably seen, it would be impossible to back out safely. And we'd be adding, I'm just gonna get these out here really quick. Plans. Adding bicycle racks, potentially in those parking spots. So as you see, the existing building will stay the same. There'll just be an addition on this west side of the building. A little more into interior design. Laundry room, mechanical room, the public restrooms. Some visuals, 3D visuals that Mark has prepared. This out of the way for you guys. East elevation. West elevation. Looking at that's looking at the restroom on the bottom there. This is looking at the north elevation, looking at where the bathrooms currently are. And you would see there'd be recycling and trash would be a semi-enclosed there. And then, of course, this is looking from the lake to the south side of the building. Yeah, sample fixtures, sinks, toilets. Then the laundry. So basically at this point, once reviewed and approved by council, our goal would be to take it to planning commission to review for conformity with the zoning code. And then at that stage, if there's no any additional changes necessary, we put it out to bid, and depending on when a realistic construction date would be. We're thinking probably fall 24 to spring 25 as being realistic. But that all depends on what the contractors can do. So Mark, if there's anything you want to add, or we just take questions.
Covered it pretty well. Thank you. Good. Any public comment? Wait a minute.
John Wayman, 483 Third Street. One thing about the building, we've cruised for about 40 years or so. We've been in about 40 harbors. An outside sink for doing dishes would be very nice. If not an outside sink, I noticed there is a sink in the laundry room, which could be satisfied. Probably the best marina we've been in actually is in Traverse City, where they actually have an outside sink for washing dishes for cruising. And secondly, and my guess is you've already had these conversations. Have you thought about using this facility year round? Possibly a small expansion to include a warming room with the park being used in the winter as a skating rink or something like that. Would bring families downtown, and I think business would probably appreciate it.
Lisa?
Lisa Nichols at 38 West Bluff. I have also been in quite a few marinas, and in the washer area, I think, I don't think we have to go overboard because of the summer use here, where a lot of the marinas I go to are full-time year-round use. So if we had 1 or 2 washers and dryers, and then have maybe a little seating area where we could have a couple chairs and a coffee table or a table, because a lot of people maybe want to get off their boats and go on shore and do some Wi-Fi, do a little business, just kind of get off for a little bit. And like John said, having an outdoor sink area or something like that would be good for if you do have dishes to do, if your boat doesn't really accommodate that. Thank you.
Anyone else? What do you think, Mark?
Well, good comments. Wasn't part of the program. Yeah, so far, we took the program that I got from city staff,
Right.
worked through it, came up with something that was acceptable. Then had a meeting with JB, made some adjustments, and came to the Harbor Commission, and I think they made a recommendation to you to approve. So going forward, my next step would be, once we had approval, got through planning commission. I don't think they'll say no to it, but you never know. But then we start construction documentation. And that's where we'll put together the bid set plans and specifications for this. It's a smaller project. I've got my MEP consultants lined up and my structural engineer lined up. My goal would be to have the construction documents done by the end of this year. And then would have time to get a bid out mid to late winter or early spring or fall start. Give the contractor plenty of time to get mobilized and ready to go. That's the rough timeline for it right now.
Okay. Yeah, I said the Harbor Commission, they were real happy with it. He did add trash and recycling on the outside.
Yeah, I heard those comments from the Harbor Commission. I added the extra washer and dryer, and I added in the recycling center on so away from the lake side of the building. That was the main recommendation, wasn't there?
And bike racks are new.
I'm sorry?
Bike racks are new since then.
No, they're around there before.
I have just a couple quick things on Harbor Commission. Am I right that there are 4 toilets in the boaters part and only 3 in the public? Is that right?
That's correct.
I think that's kind of weird. I mean, I think the public probably should have 4 boats can afford to, but I think to have two urinals and one toilet in the men's public restroom, there's a lot of use down there, especially in the summertime and the fall festival.
Well, we're seeing an increase in use of the
Yeah.
park.
So I'm wondering, I mean, now's the time to do it right. So I would like to see at least one more toilet in each of the public bathrooms. And I think the sink is a neat idea. I think a sink, like a laundry type
Yeah,
of sink
I
tub
find
would be a
place-
great
We
idea.
might find a place for that pretty easily. The first program I got from city staff had 4 fixtures in each bathroom.
Yeah.
And then it got pulled back because of concerns about getting vehicles through that area that's just to the right there. And that, because if you add another, it adds 3 more feet to the building, if you put those fixtures back in. I took those out. So that's already been done.
Yeah, I
But it'd
think
be up to you guys if
3
you
is-
want to put it back. in.
Could you clarify the concern about the vehicle getting in?
The issue was, JP was concerned that they couldn't get service vehicles like to the docks to do maintenance work and things like that, and I did talk, and John, correct me, but I think we talked about whether emergency vehicles had to get down there or not, and I don't think that they do. Last time John and I talked, there's just a concern that JB had, that you wanted that lined up there, so we kind of pull those out.
Lucas is on here too, but DPW doesn't have a need for it to be that wide.
Yeah.
To get there.
I mean,
If there's an emergency, you just go on the
I mean,
grass.
I tend to agree with Nancy. Now's the time to do it. You don't want to go back later and say, oh gee, I wish I had another stall in there.
The DPW uses that spring and fall to back their trucks down there to set the moorings. It's the easiest way to get the moorings to the work
Okay.
barge.
So there's a practical reason. why.
That's a practical reason, yeah, for it to stay that wide, or excuse me, stay that distance it is right now, so. Yeah.
That's the only access they have.
Pardon me?
So that's the only access.
Easiest access, yes.
Lucas is online. Lucas, do you want to comment to that?
Yeah, we do back the trailer up through there to load the moorings into that first slip. Historically, we had always loaded them at Ford Park, which is what we always did, and could continue to do that. We just found that it was a little easier just to have the truck parked where the boat was. But it's a very minor detail there. As far as that goes, it's not very far from where we could get to that actual first slip, so no concerns with that.
That being the case, I tend to agree. I think, given the increased use in park and additional comments about using the facility year round, I'd go with the foot stall.
One other point, though, if we do go back to the original plan, you wouldn't lose the 3rd parking spot. Right now, where the bike racks are, those are the 2 parking spots. And then if the building comes out a little bit further, it's going to make the first one, which right now is almost questionable whether it should be there or not. Because the building would come out 3 more feet. You still would have about 8 feet of roadway there. But you would lose that 3rd parking spot. Because then you just can't have that conflict between vehicles backing up and pedestrians.
Could that be turned into a motorcycle?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, motorcycles could get in there or something like that, but it would have to change because it couldn't be a vehicle, an automobile parking spot. I mean, even right now, it's pretty.
How many stalls are there?
We'll do some more public comment afterwards.
How many stalls are there currently?
How many are in the public bathrooms now?
3. There's 3, right? In the
I'm
current.
sorry,
There's 3 in the current public bathrooms. 3 stalls.
3, yes,
Yes.
yes, correct.
Kyle made the point at the meeting, at the Harbor Commission meeting, that parking space that we hope to save by staying in 3 deep.
Yeah.
Would, enable police parking. Right now, it's behind the dumpster as it is, behind that fence. And if they don't have a place to park, and they have to scramble for a place to park on a busy day when they have an emergency on the water, then it's tough for them to, they just can't have.
Well, would it
talked
be
about
easier for them if they were parking in the first parking lot to the left of the building,
That's
so
my
they can
spot.
go in and out.
No, his point is that the access is so much easier for them from that parking space that would be
So
left.
they
right
go
there.
right up the path.
Yeah, they go right up the path, right to the buildings.
We did talk about, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, at the harbor, though, about them parking up by Bay Street. What did we talk about?
There was a conversation about parking on Bay Street to allow easier sight line coming out of the parking lot. I just want a spot.
You just want a spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm down there a lot and those restrooms are used a lot. Like, if you go down there this last Thursday night, there was, I mean, it's an exception, but they were standing outside.
I mean, could a parking spot be saved for
We can find
the
a
police over by the pier? There's those funky ones right by the gazebo too.
We just want to be closer to our boat though. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I just feel like now's the time to put the four.
We're investing
Yeah.
a significant amount of money in a remodel that we're hoping will last for, you know, pick up the number of decades. We want it to be functional. We can deal with parking, we can deal with access to the docks. I put it back to the original design.
And I would question, I don't know, but do we really need 4 washers and dryers? I think Lisa's thought too of having a place where people could sit inside if the weather isn't great. Or at least have the flexibility to do that. I don't know how many washers and dryers actually are needed down there.
I had 3, then it was requested that I add another set
Yeah,
from the Harbor Commission meeting. That they wanted 4 sets total.
but I just.
Originally I had 3. and
Based
they
on,
added
Yeah.
that, you probably couldn't get, you know, a sitting area was never part of the program.
right,
So to fit that in there
you'd have to
would
change.
be, yeah, that's a pretty big ask at this
Okay.
stage of the game.
Okay,
Are the bathrooms 4 season?
Yes, they are. The whole building is going to be,
Full.
the whole building will be 4 seasons. More so than it is now, because with the roof, we're able to run our mechanicals and everything where we need to go. Get proper ventilation throughout the building, proper insulation. We're also going to add insulation to the exterior of the building. So it will be as close as we can get it to, you know, energy compliant to today's building code. Not complete because I can't get the walls where they gotta be without.
Terry model work, right? Yeah.
You really want to give up those parking spots. We're down there a lot and it's packed. And those 2 spots, I mean, it's another creeping elimination of parking. I would, bikes can go on the grass and as they pretty much are now, and I'm sure Mike has a view of this, but from my perspective, I wouldn't give up any parking if you could avoid it. And secondly, if now's the time, expanding, and again, this Mike would know better than anyone, I think, expanding out more towards the lake or the bay could provide more seating in an area if, you know, I happen to agree, we cruise a lot and have been in a number of marinas and common space is really very nice. And maybe Mike doesn't want it, people bugging him all the time. Maybe moving there's some area in the front where you can move it out a little bit more. Thanks.
I guess the only other hitch, when you were at the meeting, this is way over budget. Right now.
So, yeah, this was,
Potentially.
this was way over what we had estimated to be several years ago, but that estimate was not based on anything other than pie in the sky number. Yeah, though, the question that we'd have to consider when the bids come back is how we distribute it, pay for it between the funds, how much from the waterfront fund and if, you know, any from the general fund. But I don't, you know, on one hand, you don't know what the cost is until you put it out to bid. And Mark, you might have some more.
Well, I was just gonna say, if you wanted to see the 4 fixture option, I do have it on my computer. I can toss on screen for it if you want to see it. It looks just like that, just 3 feet wider.
I think we can visualize it.
Yeah, as far as, bidding, right now, pricing is getting better. Still not great, but, it's better than it was a year ago. Contractors are locking the pricing better, where before you had like a 3-day window to get that price before it changed. So things are getting better. So hopefully by the time we bid this, early spring, hopefully commodity prices are down a little bit. Hopefully, labor is a little more under control and, we'll get some better numbers.
Right.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but then you before we can decide.
Hard to know before it's bid.
And I would comment just on John's, comment about expanding it. The original reason for doing this was for laundry facilities and then we tried a whole new, a new building, expanded size and everything, and the costs got away. So, I mean, I think that's why we're back to here. If we continue adding more, then we'll end up back at that cost, which if that's what council wants. We can go that direction, but it's just gonna be a higher cost. It's gonna the original intent was just to add laundry facilities.
Right. And public restroom.
And say, building another rest for public.
Well, moving the public restrooms was a result of adding. Yeah.
All right, so move forward with 3 or with 4?
I would say 4.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we move forward with 4 stall bathrooms, please.
I'll second that.
Debbie Milky,
Yes.
Nancy Rondell, Matt O'Gara,
Yes.
John Cox,
Yes.
John Leo,
Yes.
or it is.
There it is.
Thank you.
And we'll take this to the planning commission September,
23rd.
but if we don't need to put it out to bid for a while, maybe we can go in October. We can
Yeah,
talk
I've got
about that.
number 2. Yeah, maybe September.
Okay, all right, we'll
We'll
talk.
talk about that. But that's my timeline, is bid it early spring or about construction start.
Thank you.
And it does look very nice. Thank you.
It does.
Thank you.
It's nice. The skylights and stuff. Nice.
Okay, so the next item, 3B, GM Chevy commercial film shoot request. GM Chevy would like to film up to a commercial in downtown Harbor Springs on Friday, August 25th. The timeframe would be from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m., so early in the morning. The shoot would involve about a dozen vehicles, and that their production vehicles, crew, and et cetera. And blocking off parking on some roads, parking spaces and some roads on 3rd Street, Gardner Street, Bay Street, and Main Street. We receive a few of these requests a year for shoots. Usually they involve blocking off a couple parking spaces. Don't usually involve a whole lot. This is quite larger than we normally get. And a year and a half ago, we created an application process, review process for these shoots, particularly and how they fit with our policy on events on public property, because we got them quite often and we just want to have a way to process these. So we had a GM Chevy fill out, or Tom Mercedes, or that's, yeah, he's right here. So we had to fill out that application. Anyway, this one involves closing off a lot more parking spaces, potentially up to 120, I believe it was a number in there. And so really, because our policy, that we classify this as a high impact event because of all the roads and parking spaces that are gonna be closed. And it's also considered a private event because it's not something we just open to the public. And for both of those reasons, that has to come to council for review and approval. Normally the ones that just involve closing off, blocking 1 or 2 parking spots, we usually handle that administratively. But something this large scale is something better off for council to review and approve. And then there's the issue of something, we don't have a set fee for this. So if this is something council does want to approve, we, took a stab at figuring out how we would calculate a fee. One is based on our police officers' time. Chief Knight's here, but he said it would take at least 3 officers and 2 would be coming in for overtime. So when you take in their pay and their benefits calculated for the 5 hours they'd be working, you're looking at about $950 in officers' time. And then we try to calculate a way to close, the cost of closing the parking to the public, in the roads, and we just did a $1 per hour parking space. That came for about 120 spaces, it came to about $600. So total $1,550 would be our recommended fee based on that structure, but that's just taking a stab at it, because we don't really have a fee in place for something like this. It's based on the services the city is providing, and et cetera. So, yeah, that's basically it. Tom is here if you want to add anything. I know you met with our Parks Director, Rachel, to go over some of the.
We did, and I'm joined by our producer, Jason Oswald. I did want to begin by saying thank you for considering this, and we look forward to doing business in town. Since we first submitted the application, we have scratched Third Street. So that will be off, so that's no longer requested. So everything we're requesting would be along Main between State, Gardner, and along Third Street.
And just for clarification, this wouldn't be all these roads closed at once, it would be one at a time. We would move through the different sections as we needed, and just with the officers' assistance, go from one location to the next.
I mean, knowing, the dynamics of downtown, that's why we want to start early and finish early, so that we have the least amount of disruption to the businesses and to residents. We won't stop anyone from any pedestrian movement to and from either, whether it's homes or businesses. And then again, along with the chief's folks, we'll try and keep this as seamless as possible, having very short intermittent holds on traffic.
Any public comment?
I saw Bay Street and that.
Guy walking dog.
So that is indeed Bay Street, correct?
It is.
Yeah, this is Bay Street right here. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
no, that's Third Street. Let me get Bay Street. Sorry about that. Oh, this is Bay Street. It's just labeled as Third Street. This is Bay
That's
Street.
my bad typing, sorry guys.
It's okay.
And using the Harbor Master lot for parking as well, for your staging.
Yes.
That's part of our request, and what that would entail would be a motor home and then a half dozen crew vehicles. The remainder of the vehicles, we could park in different places in town or the lot out here, whatever makes the most sense. Again, trying to be sensitive to parking concerns downtown.
We are working with Irish in the afternoon to shoot at their facility from 10 o'clock on. If we had to, we could relocate all of our production vehicles to that lot. If there's some sensitivity to the public, for sure.
Just gonna disrupt a few workers at the bank.
Like in this day and age.
It's just gonna disrupt a few workers at the bank.
People going into Bridge Street for coffee. Not a big deal. Now, would this require that all of the cars that no one park on Main Street prior to that, so you have a clean?
Just for, I mean, ideally, yes, we could deal with a handful of what we call bogeys, on the street and stuff like that. Delivery vehicles, because I understand there are some restaurants who would not interrupt whatsoever. If somebody has a delivery, they're free to go through. It's just more for safety reasons that we ask that there's no, additional cars in the street.
That's in Kathy. Go ahead.
Kathy Marshall, 560 Sergeant Street. I guess my only question is, how does it affect those, those early morning hours, those of us who need our caffeine?
We have
Places that we need to get to.
We've got coffee.
We got coffee on the motor, you guys need it, yeah.
Oh,
Please come
okay.
see us.
No, we
It really won't.
It really won't affect it because.
No, we don't want
You'll be
to,
free to walk, yeah.
we don't want to disrupt any businesses that are open at that time. Or your need for coffee.
We understand that.
Walk a block.
Yeah.
When we first got this project, our clients, Northern Michigan, at the end of the summer, this is heavy vacation time, where you sure you want to attempt something like this, and they didn't listen to us, so that's
You try.
But we're happy to be here, and this is, I will say, this is the first time I've been to Harbor Springs. It's amazing.
And for me, it's a somewhat selfish endeavor, as this has been a second home for my family for decades. So I get to work up here as well.
Well, we appreciate you considering us. I guess my only thing, if you could do the Main Street shoot first.
That's the
That is the
plan. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, sooner you can get off Main Street, the better. Main Street's not.
I think I already indicated to the creatives from General Motors, you're probably looking at a 2-hour window realistically from 6 to 8, where you're gonna, before it starts getting too busy. There is some sensitivity to the vehicle as well. It is a newer model. Looking at it, you'd never know, but they do, and they're a little, you know.
The other.
All the improvements around the interior, not the exterior, so.
Sounds like fun.
How much heavy that brings in?
If this was foreign country, I'd have a different conversation.
Hey.
You work for both, so.
I like sport projects here as well.
Yeah.
Probably like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It could be a Workstein in the Third Street Galleria building.
My only question is if the estimate for like the police includes how much time it takes them to put out signs to block off all the parking spots and then remove those signs.
That's true. It
That's a
only-
lot of
It only
parking
includes
spots.
the 5 to 10 window, but
Right.
Chief, how much earlier would your officers probably come?
We're gonna have to block out the night before. It's gonna take probably another half an hour to hour to block it off, and then
And then remove them.
the DPW will have to bring the tripods down. So there's a little bit of time there. I would say if you budgeted, I'm not negotiating, but I think a ballpark around $2,000 for city expenses would, that extra $500 would fulfill the obligation.
Cover expenses.
And I just.
Maybe they want to pay for the addition to the harbor.
I would just say that if, I'd be happy to have continued conversations with you and offer up my expertise, if you will, on fees. And you know, we could talk about that based on my experience, you know, really throughout the state and throughout the country.
I have no problem with an extra $500 for the officer's time to come out there the night before.
Yeah, so you all negotiated and whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Okay, and let you deal with it.
Well, I think we should at the council level approve a fee because that's,
Yeah.
because it's only council can establish fees.
Sounds like he wants to walk you into a higher fee.
Okay. He wants to create a process for the future.
I would make
That's
a
okay.
motion.
When they come back with the fourth.
You need a motion or we good?
I would make a motion to accept 2,000
Allowed and.
to allow it. Yeah.
Fee of $2,000.
I'll second.
Matt McGarrah,
Yes.
Nancy Round,
Yes.
John Cox,
Yeah.
John Leo,
Yes.
Jamie Monkey.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Colin.
council.
If we want to talk with Chief Knight, get together with him to get over the details. Right. This Friday, yes.
Make sure you dress nice when you come down for coffee.
All right, on to, well, I think the city manager's report, but I believe, yeah, we can get the boards and commissions afterwards, yeah. We have an applicant for the planning commission. So really quickly in the city manager report, we were supposed to discuss the substation process and timeline today. Our GRP was having some difficulty getting local subcontractors to get some prices or to team with them to get some plans going. So yeah, they're expanding their search statewide to see if they can get some larger companies to get on board. So then we can come to hopefully council in September for a timeline and process and cost estimates, et cetera. Did hear again back from the advocates for Zone Park attorney, and they have accepted council's requirements for the donor agreement, and we're going to sign that agreement. So that's all That's all set. The playground should probably be going in next spring. The skate park design sketches are attached, so I did receive an updated 3D skate park images. They're on the screen right here, but it's a great design from Evergreen. So those are them. Awesome. So that they're gonna start breaking ground soon here.
They're here, right?
Yeah, but they haven't, well, they're on their way. Some of their trucks are still on their way from Oregon. Yeah, the whole crew.
Thanks for John, didn't he?
Yes, John
Yeah.
Cups Masonry, they took out was it asphalt? Yeah, gravel. There's a lot there. And Nate was helping out between them,
So
so
make up Cutstone for us.
a lot of work between Nate, Park staff, Cups Masonry. Now Evergreen's gonna take over the real installation work.
So they're gonna make it look pretty again.
It's gonna look nice in the screen space in the middle. It'll look good, so. We also have obviously a DNR grant that we're still hoping that we can get for this, so.
Yeah,
That'll
it's gonna
take
be pretty cool.
probably 2 to 3 months. It'll be done this fall. That's the goal, so. And also just in case any council members that are gonna continue on after November, the Emmett County Department of Public Works, they're forming a materials management planning committee, which they were required to do according to state law to shift the solid waste plans focus from landfill capacity to sustainability or sustainable materials management. There's an opportunity from an elected official from one of the Emmett County's municipalities, so a village or a city, to serve on this planning committee. So if you're interested, just let me know and I'll let Andy Tolsdorf, the DPW director at the county.
I'm interested.
For 2 months.
That was easy.
So some boards and commissions update. The DDA did hire Becky Goodman, who's the current executive director of Petoskey's DDA. She'll begin employment in January. The Harbor Commission obviously reviewed the Harbor Master Building renovations plan. Parks Board discussed site visits, the skate park project, and fundraising for the eastern portion of the boardwalk. Planning Commission reviewed a special land use request for guest quarters, and we also heard a presentation on stormwater management. The Watershed Council, which, speaking of our stormwater management presentation with the tip of the Watershed Council, is gonna be this Friday at Ottawa Stadium parking lot. We're installing a rain garden, which so Watershed Council received a grant for the state for that. And so for a couple of years, we've been trying to find a place to put that rain garden in the city limits, and it's going there. Our DPW guys did put a lot of work in there to dig it up and to make it workable. So I really commend Lucas's crew there. But that Friday, there'll be a lunch, there'll be a presentation about what rain garden does, and what it means for stormwater management. And then there'll be nice native and vegetation there. That day as well, so. Come on out for that this Friday. And also we had a tree board meeting, and the tree board discussed planting corridors, neighborhoods, tree plantings at the parks, and just a quick review of our vegetation management policy. I did have a couple MPPA meetings, CC 911 meeting, and we are in union contract negotiations with both our DPW electric union as well as our police union. Those are going well so far, in my opinion, and I think we'll have something in the next couple of months to bring to council. And that's it. I think we're up to you, Mayor, for boards and commissions.
So we've got an opening on the planning commission. George Pete has retired, and Anthony Johnson, who's here tonight, has been eager to get on some board or commission. Has thrown his hat in the ring, so I'd like to nominate him to the planning commission.
This would be for the term that is ending 2023, and then it'd be up for reappointment if he's interested, or
George, well with my schedule.
Welcome. Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you. Welcome to the team. Picked it hard.
Fun. You might
Fun.
say fun. Yeah.
Not so much.
All right, Your old business? Okay.
Yeah, I know somebody that wants to match the first 25,000 donated to the next boardwalk portion. So if anyone wants to donate 25,000, they'll match it
Wow.
A good
to
start,
get it rolling.
very good start.
Good, good. I'm good.
Next meeting, September 18th.
September 18th. This meeting's adjourned. Thanks for coming.
Congratulations.